So as you might know, I just finished my freshman year of college at Georgetown. And I know that a lot of current students are just about to start college in their first year, and they might have a lot of worries on their mind. And so I figured that I'd be in the best position to help them out by giving them some advice and some lessons that I learned throughout my first year. So the first piece of advice that I would give is something that I know a lot of people say, and it's really important, and so I'm just going to start off with it, and that's to keep a positive attitude. Because a lot of things are changing in college, and so it's always important to think positively as you're going forward. So for example, a lot of times you might encounter obstacles, and so one way that I like to look at obstacles is to view them as challenges and just new things for you to overcome. And also, you might be feeling very nervous going into college with a lot of things being different from high school. And I would say to think about being nervous as more of being excited. If you think in this positive way, then I think you'll have a lot more success. The next thing I want to mention is something that I also think is very important, and that's to always remember your priorities. I know there are a lot of clubs and Greek life and other activities going on campus, but at the end of the day, you have to remember that your academics are most important. And a lot of people might get caught up in all these other social or academic clubs, but you still have to remember what you really need to spend your time on, and that's your schoolwork. And at the same time, keep your family in mind. Contact them every once in a while. Don't forget about them, even though you might have a lot of other things going on. And kind of along the same lines, I would say don't over-involve yourself with clubs and other activities on campus because, like I said, they're not really at the very top of your priority list, although they are important. And I know a lot of people might have FOMO or fear of missing out, but it's important to not have too much FOMO because if you have so much FOMO that you're just going to all these events and joining all these clubs, then you're actually going to be missing out on a lot of the things that are the most important, like your schoolwork or your family. The next piece of advice I have is to always trust your own values and don't do anything that other people say to do just so that you can seem cool to them. Because if you're doing something that you know is wrong and you're just doing it to seem cool, then maybe those people who you're trying to impress aren't actually the cool people at all. The cool people are the people who do things according to your own values that you think is right, and those are the people who you should be associating yourself with. I know for me, at the end of high school, I was talking with some of my high school friends, and I felt like every single one of them I was talking to, I would tell them that I would try to keep in touch with them. But at the end of the day, realistically, you're only going to be able to keep in touch with a couple of your closest friends. So I would say to choose some of your closest high school friends and work on maintaining good, strong relationships with them rather than trying to keep in touch with a whole bunch of your high school friends only to find out that you don't really maintain as strong of a relationship with any of them. I know that a frequent concern for new college freshmen is making friends. Everyone worries if they're going to have enough friends or if they're going to have good friends. And my advice to that would be just go out there, put yourself out there in social situations, and be yourself. And the friends should just naturally come. And on a separate note, your first friends in college won't necessarily be your best friends. Oftentimes they can be, but you could meet someone in your second or third or fourth year who might end up being your ultimate best friend. Similarly, don't worry too much about getting a boyfriend or a girlfriend at the start of college. And I know a lot of people do try to have this in mind when they start college as one of their goals, but just don't date someone for the sake of dating someone because that never ends up well. And honestly, there's so many other important things to look forward to in college that if you find someone who's not really the right person for you, then just wait until you do find someone who's right for you. On the topic of friends, another piece of advice that I would have is to try to make friends with some upperclassmen. And I'm talking about juniors and seniors who have been through the shoes of the people who are starting off their college experience. Because these upperclassmen can be great resources for you to learn more about anything really on campus that you want to ask them about, and they can be a lot of help. Furthermore, I'd say that it's important in college to really find what you enjoy. Either develop your existing hobbies if you're really into something, or maybe find a new hobby and realize that this is something that you really enjoy. Because at the end of the day, people want to be around interesting people. And if you are not an interesting person, and what I mean by that is if you don't really have any hobbies that you're super passionate about, then it's important to find one or two so that you have something to talk about and connect with people about. Now this one is a big one, and that is to manage your sleep schedule well. From my experience, I've noticed that college kids, for whatever reason, just love to stay up super late on the weekends, during the week, any day. And that can really be harmful to your overall daily schedule. And I think it's important to recognize how much sleep you need to be getting and then trying your best to really get that sleep. And don't just stay up wasting time or doing things that aren't really productive. Because ultimately, if you have a good sleep schedule and you get enough sleep, you will be able to perform better at whatever it is that you want to do throughout the day. From my experience, I've found that being on campus really has everything that you need to be happy. It has a gym, it has food, it has your dorm. But don't get stuck in the college bubble. Take the time to explore the area around your campus, especially if you're located in a big city or a place with things to do outside of your campus. Grades. They're a big point of stress for almost all students. And the fact of the matter is, every student, no matter how good they are, will almost certainly get at least a couple of bad grades that they don't like. My advice to that is to not dwell on your bad grades. Use them as points of motivation and recognize them as areas for improvement as you go on. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about your past grades except use them as points to get better grades in the future. Now, whether it's about grades or about anything else going on in college, don't be afraid to ask for help. Regardless of what it is that you're asking for help, there's always people and resources that can help you. And oftentimes you don't realize how much you need the help until someone actually points it out to you and you actually seek it out. On that same note, I've realized how important it is to build strong relationships with your professors. Because even if you're not really struggling in a class, you never know when that connection with a certain professor can help you out professionally or even personally. And using their office hours, I found, is probably the easiest and best way to get to know them. And depending on the professor, some of them are more open than others, but I found that some of my professors are really easy to talk to, and I just enjoy having a connection with them. My last piece of advice to you incoming freshmen is to make sure to set long-term goals for yourself in school or in your personal life throughout college, but at the same time, always be present in the day-to-day activities of your college. Because college goes by quickly. My freshman year, it felt like it went by so quickly. And if you go through it day by day and really take in what's going on and appreciate the things that you can do now that you might not be able to do later, I think you'll be a lot happier and a lot more successful. Okay, so those are my 15 points of advice that I have for incoming freshmen. And I just want you to remember that college is really an interesting time. It's a time of a lot of changes, a time of a lot of opportunity. So enjoy it, work hard, and hopefully you found these pieces of advice helpful that you can use throughout your time in college.
Take it back.